Tzu Chi volunteers in Fuzhou, China hold aid distributions and continue to help communities damaged after Typhoon Nepartak. A man who was paralyzed recovers his passion for life through painting with the help of his wife and Tzu Chi volunteers.
Welcome to DaAi Headlines. I'm Duncan DaAi. Thank you for joining us. Tzu Chi continues to carry out relief work in China after Typhoon Nepartak brought great damage to some areas. Recently, volunteers hosted 2 aid distributions at Qingliang Junior High and Tsunwei Village in Fuzhou's Yongtai County. They not only distributed aid supplies to the typhoon victims, but also brought hope to help residents face the future bravely.
Though Tsunwei Village is located in the remote area of Yongtai County of Fuzhou, a group of volunteers have continued to care for the typhoon victims by bringing them aid supplies over the past 3 months since Typhoon Nepartak hit China.
Today, Tzu Chi Foundation brings us love and care by delivering the aid supplies to the typhoon victims and the impoverished families in our town.
Though Typhoon Nepartak brought damage to the small village, which is located in the Qingliang Township of Yongtai County, a group of volunteers have continued to care for the typhoon victims, much like their families would.
I feel touched when I hear them sing "We Are One Family" in the song. Thank you so much.
Meanwhile, another aid distribution is taking place at Qingliang Junior High, where affected residents can also receive aid supplies. With the care and love from Tzu Chi volunteers, these typhoon victims will no longer need to worry about their life in the upcoming winter, helping them face their future bravely.
Volunteers in Myanmar have been encouraging residents of Tepyar village to save and donate a handful of rice each day. So far, the campaign has attracted 66 households to participate, and now those donations are large enough to help the needy in nearby villages. Volunteers from Tepyar are eager to help their neighbors despite the distance. We'll meet a young boy and his grandmother who recently suffered from a stroke and see how their neighbors have been showing them love and care.
In the early morning before heading off to school, 9-year-old Winechit uses the time to wash clothes and do house chores. He even helps his grandmother wash and prepares a lunch for her before leaving for school in his uniform. But on his lunch break, he will rush back home to be with his grandmother.
I really love my grandma. When I grow up, I want to be a teacher. I'll take care of my grandma and teach students.
He's my companion. When he goes off to school, there's nobody else around. He takes care of me. When he's around, he gives me strength.
This grandmother says this because she and Winechit have been by each other's side since he was only 6 months old. Then 7 months ago, she suffered from a stroke, and so the daily responsibilities of the home fell to the boy.
After she suffered from a stroke, we really wanted to give her some help. Later, we met Wu Ang Then, and he told us about saving a little rice every day, so we joined the movement. So now we are saving rice to help our neighbors and showing love.
Under the initiative of the borough chief, Wu Tang-tun, several volunteers from Tepyar village have been working together to help the family out by checking on the home and making sure their needs are met. The rice provided to the family has actually been supplied by the farming community of Tepyar village. After Tzu Chi held a rice distribution in the past, villagers started a campaign of saving a handful of rice per day. Since 66 households are now participating in the campaign, there is enough rice to offer to the needy in nearby villages as well.
For when we heard there were some people in need, we might give up because of the distance. But after becoming a Tzu Chi volunteer, our urge to do good is increased, so we'll go no matter the journey. We keep an eye out for neighboring villagers who need our help, like this grandmother and her grandson. We want to make sure they are taken care of.
The farming community of Tepyar has been spurred to do good deeds for their neighbors thanks to the rice seed distributions of Tzu Chi. From here into the future, we all look forward to seeing this love grow.
Tzu Chi Philippines chapter recently hosted rice distribution events in Marikina and San Mateo on October 8th and 9th. Though most of the local residents come from impoverished families, many volunteered at the event to help Tzu Chi. Among the volunteers, Alma Murillo was happy to help Tzu Chi again after being unable to volunteer recently because of mobility issues related to her glaucoma. She hopes to recover from her illness soon so she can continue helping Tzu Chi help others.
Upon receiving the bag of rice, Elma Murillo feels grateful and cannot wait to open it because her family will no longer need to worry about going hungry. Elma has suffered from glaucoma since she was young. Her life became even difficult 3 years ago after she underwent a surgery to remove her left eye due to bleeding caused by glaucoma.
I always accompany my mother when she needs to go somewhere. My teacher won't blame me if I don't go to school because he understands when I tell him it's to help my mother.
The rice distribution of the Tzu Chi Philippines chapter was hosted in Marikina City. Elma hoped that she could be part of the volunteers again.
Ito po yung dati kong uniform nung nagbo-volunteer po ako.
This is a Tzu Chi volunteer uniform which I wore when I helped out with the relief work after Typhoon Nepartak hit the Philippines in 2009. But I have been unable to volunteer since I had mobility issues years ago. I thank Tzu Chi for giving us the chance to carry out the cash for relief work, but I still want to be a volunteer. My dream is to meet Master Zhenyan and say thank you to her in person.
Noon pa man po, talagang gustong-gusto ko na siya makita at magpasalamat sa kanya ng marami.
Tzu Chi volunteers have been moved by Elma's goodness as she has inspired her children to do good deeds by helping the needy with benevolent heart.
Isipin mo, mahirap lang kami, mahirap lang.
Despite her poor living condition, Alma is still concerned about Tzu Chi and has encouraged her children to participate in Tzu Chi's activities. Inspired by her spirit, I vow to do my part helping the residents here as long as Tzu Chi is here.
Habang nandiyan ang Tzu Chi, tuloy-tuloy pa rin tayo hanggat may hininga tayo.
Through the assistance of Tzu Chi, the bags of rice have been successfully delivered from Taiwan, distributing to the residents from impoverished families in Marikina and San Mateo. After receiving the rice, these residents finally show smiles on their faces, and most of them even donate their money into the coin banks as a way to pay back society.
36-year-old Chen Yuxian gave a blood sample to register his marrow when he was back in high school. Nearly a decade later, he was contacted by the Tzu Chi Stem Cell Center to help provide a bone marrow donation for a girl, 19-year-old Lin Yifan. Let's hear more of their story.
I'm Lin Yifan. When I was 19 years old, I developed leukemia. I'm really thankful for my mother who was by my side 24 hours a day. And I also want to express my gratitude for my bone marrow donor.
Yifan, you be brave. You will get better soon. Next Monday, you can leave the isolation ward.
下星期一就可以出无尽寺了哦。
In 2008, Lin Yifan was diagnosed with leukemia. She was very lucky to find a match quickly, and her procedure went smoothly. However, despite her good fortune, she was also forced to suffer through a difficult treatment period.
When I went back to have a follow-up check, the doctor said that my body didn't accept this treatment and had even put me in a bad condition, so I needed to stay at the hospital. At the time, I didn't think the treatment was helping and I didn't want to be in the hospital. I was very depressed, but the nurses were there to comfort me. The whole time that I couldn't touch other people, I was just staying at home doing this.
These cute decorations around the home were all made during Yifan's recovery period.
Afterwards, I realized there are so many people who wait such a long time, and so many pass away without ever getting their transplant.
Perhaps the universe was keeping an eye out for the young life of Lin Yifan and sent Chen Yuxian as a blessing.
After high school, I moved up to Taipei. There was probably 7 or 8 years that I never touched my drawers. It had been a long time since I ever looked at my donor card, and I wondered if I should toss it. Then it was just 2 days later that the Tzu Chi sisters came around looking for me.
Mr. Chun provided a blood sample back when he was in high school. Nearly a decade later, he was surprised to hear from Tzu Chi and find out that he had the opportunity to save a life.
It really gives you a sense of accomplishment when you help someone. It's easy to say, oh, well, if a person is hungry, I'll give them some food to eat today. This isn't so simple as that. It's really saving someone's life. I really hope that she continues to be healthy, and I wish her all the best.
"52-year-old Liao Jianyi from Changhua, Taiwan, injured his spine when he was 29, which resulted in paralysis. He was bedridden for 9 years following the accident, leaving his wife as provider and caretaker. During this time, Tzu Chi volunteers were by his family's side as a constant source of support and encouragement. Thankfully, this love helped Liao through his darkest hours. Now, Liao has found his passion as a mouth painter and is living life to the fullest."
Ever since Liao Jianyi injured himself, taking care of his daily needs has been the sole responsibility of his wife, Liao Lijing.
He got fatter and it got older, so I can't pick him up now. I can only rely on this lift.
Unable to lift her husband by herself, Liao Lijing has to resort to other methods.
Life goes on, so I don't stand to overthink too much. It's no use anyways.
Ever since Liao Jianyi became paralyzed following an injury, his wife has been saddled with the sole responsibility for looking after him and their 4 children.
We take it one day at a time. Yes, now that my kids have grown up, life is a lot easier now.
The painting portrays a couple that is very much in love. This was a moment that Liao shared with his wife, which he then put on paper.
He can only hug me tightly like this. Every time we take a picture together, I always sit in his wheelchair so he can hug me like this.
Liao Jianyi creates beautiful and astonishing art using his mouth instead of his hands. In the beginning, an excessive secretion of saliva often caused Liao's skin to peel. Being bedridden for the past 9 years, even getting out of this bed into his wheelchair was often a big struggle.
I have orthostatic hypotension. Sometimes when I sit up, I'd feel very dizzy all of a sudden and then faint.
With the support and encouragement of Tzu Chi volunteers, Liao Jianyi persevered through all his hardships.
You smile a lot more now and you even donate to charity. That's great, isn't it? In the past, you didn't even pay attention to us. You came and went as you pleased.
Tzu Chi volunteers visit the Liao family 2 to 3 times a week. Their care finally opened Liao Jianyi's heart. Liao Jianyi got to where he is today because of his never say die attitude. He is often invited to exhibit his artwork at various exhibitions, which has helped him regain his confidence.
When I sold my first piece for a couple of $1,000s, I was really impressed.
Besides painting, Liao Jianyi and his wife also sells lottery tickets for a living. The two try to make the best of their situation and live each day to the fullest.
Even I can manage with my condition, so imagine if somebody's perfectly healthy. If I can, so can you.
In our next piece on encouraging vegetarianism, we'll visit some schools for young children in Kaohsiung and see how they are promoting good eating habits at a young age, using various teaching methods to create a positive educational environment. We'll check out the Hongyuan Classical Academy and the Hongguang Daycare and see how students there are learning about eating their veggies to stay healthy.
We get the fruits and vegetables fresh and serve them the day we get them. I cut them into small pieces to help the children chew them easier.
先闻闻看，有没有什么味道？很香。最喜欢吃马铃薯，举手。哇，好棒！闻一闻。
We'll let the children smell the food and then talk to them about it. For example, if they say they don't like carrots, I will say, "Oh, but this is the rabbit's favorite." Then they will say, "I want to eat the rabbit's favorite food." When many first join the class, they may cry and fuss a lot. They say, "I don't want to eat this, I don't want that." But we slowly teach and encourage them, and they eventually start to enjoy the dishes we offer.
Because I didn't want to eat veggies, but I'm bigger now and I can eat them. It's really good.
You know, when kids see someone else eating something, they will eat it too. Helping out the parents to encourage their children to avoid being finicky eaters and help kids overcome the problem of constipation. The focus here is the idea that it's not enough to eat vegetarian at school if their parents also don't help them eat vegetarian at home. Our influence is limited without the help of parents.
I like eating vegetarian at school, so I told my mom that I didn't want to eat meat.
At our home, Dad loves eating meat, but recently he has been eating a lot more vegetarian dishes.
At this age, it's very effective to teach them using stories. For example, using a story about animals, you can relate it to their lives, and they can imagine themselves as animals. They will respond positively to the lesson. We want the children to try the food and then they can decide for themselves if they like it. We encourage them to try things. I will say, well, if you don't want them, then I'll pick them all off your plates. Then the other students will encourage them to try, and if they try one, then everyone will say how great they are. The encouragement of their peers goes a long way. Then after the first 1 or 2 times, they realize it's not so bad and actually start to like it. Positive encouragement is important. No matter whether it's a story or a song, the children are happy to accept vegetables when they are introduced in a positive environment.
Tzu Chi volunteers are planning to host a large-scale free clinic in remote villages of Kota Marudu, Malaysia on October 30th. Recently, 22 volunteers split up to visit 12 villages, conducting home visitations and notifying local residents about the upcoming free clinic. They have prepared everything well in advance for the event, hoping to give residents quality medical services along with warmth and compassion.
Tzu Chi volunteers are traveling from Kota Kinabalu in Sabah, Malaysia, to notify local residents in Kota Marudu about an upcoming free clinic, which will be held on October 30th.
Kalau di sini kan semua lah, ada berapa keluarga di sini ya?
22 volunteers take different routes to visit 12 villages. By perseverance, they have gone through a difficult journey, which took 80 minutes to reach the most remote village.
Di sana SK pemerintah kami ada klinik
7:30 kita start sampai 3:30 petang. Isi surat beranak membawa.
Tzu Chi volunteers conduct home visits to collect each family's background information so that they can give them quality medical services on the day of the clinic.
Mata dia lebih kurang 5 tahun lah dia tidak.
She has been blind for 5 years and has had mobility issues for a year.
1 tahun lebih lah.
As his mother is getting old, she has mobility issues. She had a fever which caused her to suffer from muscular atrophy and made her unable to walk. So I'd like to bring some doctors here to give villagers medical treatment.
Volunteers collaborate with TIMA members to bring love and care to the residents who live in remote areas, safeguarding their health as well as giving them a better future.
To safeguard the health of the elderly, Tzu Chi volunteers in Indonesia held a free clinic in Bhinneka School in Jakarta. The students from the school also took the chance to volunteer and experience the joy of giving.
Ibu Lumsari is 60 years old. Her life became worse after she had a stroke, and the family's financial condition also worsens. But she is fortunate that her husband takes care of her.
It is a husband's responsibility to look after the wife and keep her company.
I must thank my husband for always looking after me.
This couple's children have gone out and left home, leaving them alone in this old house, which is less than 355 square feet large. For 3 months in a row, Tzu Chi volunteers have been holding free clinics to improve the health of poor and sick elderly in the community. The students of this school also pitch in to volunteer.
I'm very grateful to everything I own. I realize many people need help, especially regarding their health problems. Many poor people cannot receive medical treatment.
When we bring love and care to the elderly in society, they are able to live their remaining lives in peace.
Tzu Chi's Indonesia chapter traveled to East Kalimantan province to organize a free medical clinic for local farmers. It prepared 40 shuttle buses to transport people from all over the province to the temporary clinic. Volunteers at the clinic demonstrated their professionalism and their compassion as they treated local residents.
Tzu Chi's Indonesia branch came to East Kalimantan Province's East Kutai Regency to provide free medical clinic services for those living in this rural area.
We came because the residents who live here are in great need of medical services. This is the reason why we have come. In the future, we have already decided to host regular free clinic services here as well. This will be done to help this area as well as the farmers who live in the surrounding areas as well. We truly care about the health and physical condition of all of the people who live here.
Volunteers not only shelled out resources and money to host the free medical clinic, but also prepared some 40 shuttle buses to bring people from all directions to the clinic. In total, 18 villages and 3 towns were served, with 1,033 people receiving treatment.
We have been engaged in farming for many years, so this work has led many of us to experience some physical problems and negative effects on the body due to our work as farmers. These problems that we feel in our bodies can include knee pain, backaches, and stomach pain. Because of this, we are all very happy to have the chance to come to this free clinic to receive medical treatment for all of our physical pains.
Tzu Chi's Indonesia chapter was glad to have the chance to assist farmers in this rural community who work so hard to look after the land, and looking further down the road is also eager to meet them once again in future free clinics.
Bayan Lepas Tzu Chi Kindergarten in Malaysia is encouraging children to practice public service by taking a trip to a local park to help clean up the natural environment. That's all the time we have for today. We'll leave you with these images. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.